And welcome to another edition of Two Steps Ahead podcast, encouraging you to take your passion, make it happen, let yourself be great. I'm Sonn Eidem. Now, coming up on the show, we're going to talk about something that a lot of people talk about, but very few people actually pursue. What could that possibly be? Well, it's becoming the best version of yourself. How can that happen? Now, when you become the best person or the best version of yourself, what does that mean? Well, it's not being the best person ever. It's not being perfect. It's not winning every competition. It's becoming the best version of you, becoming better than you were the day before. Now, does that include becoming better than other people? Well, perhaps, because you try harder, you strive for more, you put in the work, and so the success and the reward is greater. But we're not really talking about other people. We're talking about me. You're talking about you, the best version of me and the best version of you. A lot of people like to get caught up in the comparison trap. Oh, I got to be better than this person. Or I got to be better than that person. Or I got to compete. And that's fine. Nothing wrong with that. But that's not what we're talking about today. We're just talking about the choices that we make, the decisions that come our way that we have to then determine whether or not we should make that decision or perhaps change it so that we can become the best version of ourselves. And does that mean that once we've completed or reached that pinnacle, are we done? Well, maybe not, because do we ever become the best version of ourselves? I mean, think about it. Every day we've got a choice. We get up in the morning. Are we focused or are we distracted? Do we drift? Do we just go through the day hum-ho? Do we settle on just the bare minimum? I have a job I have to do, so I show up. I just do it. I do it enough to get a paycheck so they don't fire me. Or am I putting in the time? Am I growing? Am I learning? Am I learning how to do my job better than before? Are we growing intentionally? That's the question. We can think about how we can do things in theory. We can think about slogans. We can think about sayings, motivation. And that's all good. But ultimately, we have to put all that into action. And so in order to have real action, we have to have a real mindset for it. And that's why a lot of people fall short. So becoming the best version of yourself requires intention. And if we have that intention, we can shape the trajectory of our life. Now, it depends on what you do in life. Many people aspire to things, but maybe we don't quite reach that pinnacle of our aspirations. Maybe we're successful. Maybe we're successful by our own definition. Maybe we're successful by the world's definition. Because after all, what is success? It's defined by me. It's defined by you and what we want it to be. But whatever it is that we do, are we doing it to the best of our ability? Are we doing it so that when someone walks in and looks at our life, looks at our job, looks at our friends, whatever it is they look at, they see, oh, this person is striving to be the best. So whatever your allotment in life might be, I'm reminded of Martin Luther King Jr. and his street sweeper.
Even if it falls your lot to be a street sweeper, go on out and sweep streets like Michelangelo painted pictures. Sweep streets like Handel and Beethoven composed music. Sweep streets like Shakespeare wrote poetry. Sweep streets so well that all the host of heaven and earth will have to pause and say, here lived a great street sweeper who swept his job well. If you can't be a pine on the top of the hill, be a scrub in the valley, but be the best little scrub on the side of the reel. Be a bush if you can't be a tree. If you can't be a highway, Just be a trail. If you can't be the sun, be a star. It isn't by size that you win or you fail. Be the best of whatever you are.
So be the best of whatever you are. He talks about different scenarios. If you can't be the tree on the hill, be a shrub. If you can't be this, be that. Well, we look at that as perhaps comparison. I want to be the big tree on the hill. I want to be the big time artist. I want to be the big time painter, whatever it is. And so I'm only a lowly shrub. I'm only a lowly street sweeper. I'm only a lowly compared to all this other stuff. But no, he says, make yourself to be the best at whatever it is that you're doing, which leads to the, I guess you could say, a trap. That's the comparison trap, comparing ourselves to others. And where that really takes off is in the world of social media. I mean, think about how we compare ourselves just with day-to-day stuff, pictures we post, how we look, clothing trends, maybe dance trends, maybe the likes, the shares. Am I going viral? So we compare ourselves. We compare our career successes, our vacation photos. I'm only going to the beach. That person's in Paris. Well, you know what? That is not your lot in life. Maybe your lot in life is going to the beach, because it's not where you go, it's who you do it with. You're doing it with your family. Maybe you're doing it with your friends. Maybe it's a family reunion. Maybe you just need time to sit on the beach and refresh, recharge. And going to Paris might be fun, but all the extra stress. How many times have you gone on vacation and then came home and said, I need a vacation from my vacation before I go back to work? So maybe time on the beach. Maybe time on the beach allows you to not go into huge credit card debt that leads to stress and anxiety later on. So it doesn't matter. The comparison thing should be kicked to the window, because what you want to do should be what you want to do. You don't need to compare yourself. You've got a car. I drive a Hyundai Elantra. Nothing fancy. It gets me to A, to B, to C. And in fact, it has some pretty good gas mileage. I think over the course of the lifetime I've had this car for like almost 4 years, I think I'm getting like 35, 40 miles a gallon. I'll take that. Other people I know have these fancier cars. Good for them. I don't have car envy. I don't care. My whole point of a car is getting me from A to B to C to D. That's it. And good gas mileage is another thing. Others want the fancy cars. That's great. Good for you. But their gas mileage is less. They're paying a lot more. They're putting in the premium fuel. The expense is higher. Maybe they can afford it. That's fine. But I don't need to compare myself, because I'm content in what I have. Maybe we compare ourselves in our promotions, in the accomplishments. We're bragging about, I did this, I did that. I got to keep up with the Joneses, or I guess nowadays it's the Kardashians, or are we keeping up with somebody newer now than the Kardashians? But if you want to avoid the comparison trap, you should. Because comparing yourself and the reality of your day and the reality of your life to become the best version of you and try to match what we see on those highlight reels, we're not going to achieve those things. In fact, the other day I saw a video of some sort where apparently some influencer, they all use the those things that make themselves look better, the filters, right? Make themselves look better. Well, apparently this one lady, if it's true, again, I always question things on social media, but the filter faltered and it revealed her true self. Wasn't what everybody thought it would be, and apparently lost a lot of followers. The deception. But what's on the highlight reel isn't real. It's made up. And so what you're seeing is some fake result. But in your life, you have the struggle. You have the striving for, the commitment, the putting in the work, the gaining the success. Yeah, you see failures too, but we're not focusing on the negative, because we're trying to become the best version, not the most perfect version, but the best version. And that includes failures, because we all learn from failures. And sometimes we learn from failures better than we do from victories. However, We want to see those victories. So we don't settle on the failures. We strive for the victories. We strive for the preparation so that we can have those victories, which leads us to the productive mindset shift that can really make this happen. And so once we get out of the comparison trap and we start to realize that, okay, in order for me to be the best me, instead of comparing myself and competing with others, maybe I should focus on me and start competing with who I am from yesterday, the day before, who I want to be tomorrow and the next day. Asking yourself, did I learn something today that I can apply to tomorrow? Did I learn something yesterday that I can apply to today or maybe avoid today? Did I grow? Did I improve even just maybe a little bit? Because again, if you have little successes, and you build them upon each other, those little successes become compounded over time. And they become big successes. And once you start to get those bigger successes, and those compound over time, bigger successes, and you build on those, and those compound over time. And the next thing you know, now you're building a better version of yourself. One of the things that I always find interesting about coaches is their motivational tactics, their motivational speeches, how they can not only talk to an athlete, but they will talk to business organizations, they will talk to corporations, they will talk to just about anybody that will listen, really. And some of the best ones have moved on from this life, but their words are left behind. Lou Holtz is one who has left us, but he's left us with some gems. And one of the things that he has said that I thought was pretty interesting was that in life, we need something to hope for. We need something to dream. Here's Lou Holtz.
And what I found out, I wasn't tired of coaching. You have to have something to hope for, something to dream. And even though you've done great things so far, what's going to happen now? I want to give you a simple plan. Life doesn't have to be complicated. I try to keep life simple. Do you realize there are only 7 colors of the rainbow? Only 7. Look what Michelangelo did with those 7 colors. There's only 7 musical notes. Look what Beethoven did with those 7 notes. There's only 10 numbers. Look what Bernie Madoff did with those 10 numbers. The point I make is it doesn't have to be complicated. See, you need 4 things in your life. If you don't have any of these 4 things in your life, you're going to have a tremendous void. See, everybody needs something to do. Number 2, everybody needs someone to love. Number 3, everybody needs someone to believe in. In my case, is Jesus Christ, our Lord and Savior. But the 4th thing you need in your life is you need something to hope for. There's never a right time to do the wrong thing. And there's never a wrong time to do the right thing.
Something to hope for, something to dream. And depending upon what that is, it's up to you. But depending upon what that is, it can always come back to, are we a better version of ourselves? Think about that, 7 colors. And look at what artists can do with those 7 colors. They can create masterpieces. I mean, look at what a kindergartner can do, finger painting with those. Masterpiece in the eyes of the parent. Because after all, that is what art is. Beauty is in the eye of the beholder. But anybody can take those 7 colors and do something with it. Maybe for you, finger painting is the most you can do artistically. That's probably about the advancement I can get as far as art goes. But people can take those 7 colors and do what they want. 7 notes. And look what type of music people make with those 7 notes. All kinds of great music over the course of time in all kinds of genres. And what about those 10 numbers? If you include 0 as a number, 0 through 9, look what can be done with numbers. And look how important numbers can be for us. But the idea to become our better selves is it's the basics. It's working on the basics to become our better selves. and we start blending colors. We start adding up numbers. We start combining musical notes into chords. And the next thing you know, as we do that with the foundations of our lives are becoming a masterpiece that somebody out there is going to enjoy. Not everybody enjoys Beethoven. Not everybody enjoys grunge. Not everybody enjoys whatever else you'd like to do. Somebody does, but it's all music and it's all composed together by somebody with some talent. Just like art, just like numbers. But you have to have something to do. For a lot of us, it's our job, maybe a hobby, but something to do, someone to love. We're people that need connection. We have to believe in something. Lou Holtz, and I agree. Jesus, for me, something to believe in. For you, maybe it's something else. And then something to hope for. And that's where we can strive in this life, is to hope for a better self. And maybe if you're on the spiritual end of things, a religious, you have the hope for eternity. As a Christian, hope of heaven, hope for glory. And actually, as a spiritual person, it's probably not really a hope, it's probably a belief, right? You're believing in that. But having something to hope for, something to dream in your life. And so what that does then is it takes us to a higher standard in life. I've always talked about, raising the standard in our lives so that we do better. Not easy to do. A lot of people like to just settle, but you got to raise the standard in your life. You got to have higher standards. What you're doing today, hey, that's great. You've mastered it. Just like playing a piano or a musical instrument, doing art, whatever it is. You're going to start with the foundations, and then you're going to build upon it and practice harder and harder compositions. Try to make more and more complicated art pieces, right? You get better as you practice. So standards can determine our behavior. Do I want to stay someone who is content with kindergarten finger painting? Or do I want my life to be more of a masterpiece than that? So, what is your standard? Are you going to work hard when you're motivated? Probably. Are you going to work hard when you're not motivated? Ooh, there's the real struggle. Higher standard says, yes, you're going to want to work hard even when you're unmotivated, because you have dreams, you have goals, you have aspirations that you want to achieve. You're going to struggle. How do you overcome those obstacles in life? The higher the standard, the more driven you're going to be to overcome those obstacles in life. But if your standards are low, okay, I'm struggling, well, then I'll just give up. See, motivation can be temporary. We look for motivational speeches. Coach will motivate players before the game, try to get them to go out there and do something good. Motivation we get from whatever it is that we see around us, perhaps. But it's limited. It's only for a time. It's temporary because we're always seeking it. I need to be motivated. I need to be motivated. I need to be motivated. But when you have a high standard, then you don't need that motivation because you're trying to reach something within you. And that's your better self. What can you get done for that high standard? What needs to be done? And can you get it done, or can you complete it when you feel like you don't want to do it? I don't feel like doing it. It's easy to do things when we feel like it, but what if we do it when we don't feel like it? And when you do things when you're not motivated because your standard is high, that's when everything changes. That's when your better self comes out. High standards show up in everyday actions. You show up on time. You do the work when no one is watching. You finish what you start. You treat people with respect. You take pride in your effort. And as you continue to improve on all that, your standard goes a little bit higher and a little bit higher. One of the things that Lou Holtz said in that graduation speech that I played, but prior to the section that I played, was the one thing he regrets is that he plateaued. He had all this great success at Notre Dame, and he kind of plateaued and didn't take any risks or didn't do anything to raise the standard even higher because he was afraid that by taking those risks, instead of being the number 1, number 2, or number 3 team in the country, taking those risks might falter him and he might drop to 10, 11, 12, whatever. That was the one thing he said. You can go find it on your internet streaming services. But he was contemplating that if he would have taken risk, perhaps he could have elevated his team, his program, his years at Notre Dame even more. So continue to raise the standard as you achieve things so that you become your better self. So you have to ask yourself, what standards are you living by? Are your standards low? Are they high? I mean, we heard from Martin Luther King Jr. about your lot in life. Are your standards as a street sweeper high, or are they low? Are your standards as whatever you do, are they high or are they low? Are you looking to do your work to the best of your ability, or are you just looking to get by? Is your mentality, I don't get paid enough, so I'm only going to do what I get paid? Now, I understand it's a little bit more complex than that in the corporate world. People do like to take advantage. I worked in the radio business for years, and they would lay people off, and guess what? You got the work, and you had to do the work to make up for the person that's no longer there, and you got no more pay. So I get it. But again, are you doing it for yourself, or are you limiting yourself? The other thing too is how much do you got? So we talk about showing up on time. We talk about doing our best. We talk about being motivated, raising the standard, doing the work when no one's watching, all that stuff. But here's the other thing we do have to keep in mind, because life does happen. It's part of the obstacles. If we have 100% in the tank, are we giving our 100%? Great. What if you have 50% in the tank? Are you giving 100% of that 50%? Are you giving it your all, even though your all is half of what you normally can give? Are you giving 100% of the 25%, 100% of the 10%? Because we're going to have ups and downs in life. But if we're giving it our all of what we have at that time, that's still raising the standard. That's still becoming our better self, because we're not mailing it in. If I only have 50% for the day, 10% for the day, whatever it is, if not at 100%, and I'm giving it my all, that's all we can do. Because then at the end of the night, we can sit down and be like, you know what? That was a good day. I gave everything I had. I left it all out there. Kind of like the old adage, I left everything out on the field of what you had. And now you're becoming a better version of yourself. And ultimately, you're going to be happy. And happiness in life depends upon what you do, what you want to achieve, how you respond to things. And here's Nick Saban to tell us about that.
If you want to be happy for an hour, eat a steak. If you want to be happy for a day, go play golf. If you want to be happy for a week, go on a cruise. If you want to be happy for a month, go buy a new car. But if you want to be happy in your life, just ask yourself one question. If I didn't show up here today, would anybody miss my ass? Because then you know you accomplished something of significance. And I always relate this back to, if you could just be the best you can be. And I always relate this because this is said the best, and I'm paraphrasing this. Martin Luther King, this must have been 60, 70 years ago, gave a speech about the street sweeper. But he started out saying, there's a shoe shine guy in Montgomery, Alabama at the green stamp store who is the only guy I'll let shine my shoes, because the pride and performance that guy has in shining your shoes, and the great feeling he has when you tell him he did a good job. And then he goes on to say, if you're going to be a street sweeper, be the best street sweeper in the world. Sweep the streets like Michelangelo painted the Sistine Chapel, like Shakespeare wrote literature. Let him post a sign that says the best street sweeper in the world lives right here. Because if you do that, you accomplish the best there is in life, which is knowing you did your best to be the best you could be, no matter what you choose to do. Now, to me, that says it all. That says it as well as you can say it. Now, the challenge is that's not natural. That's not normal. What I said before, human nature is to be what? Just to survive. It's not to win the championship. It's not to be special. It's not to have the best business. It's just to do good enough. So that's a challenge that we all have.
Will somebody miss you if you didn't show up to work? Are you being the best you? And what he just said at the end, that's kind of what Lou Holtz was alluding to in his speech that I was talking about just a little bit ago. But if you're going to be happy in life, be the best you can be. Sure, you want to be happy for an hour? Go get something to eat that you enjoy. Steak, he says. Want to be happy for a little while longer? Maybe you get a car. Hey, yay, new car. Show it off. Social media, Instagram, whatever. But ultimately, if you want to be happy in life, you've got to be the best you. Because if you're not the best you, then you're not going to be happy. Again, what are your standards? Are you meeting those standards? Are you meeting those standards, or are you just coasting by? There's a lot of times I get frustrated with myself because there's things I want to do, but sometimes I'm tired. I just don't feel like doing it. I don't have the motivation or the energy to do it. And then I got to think to myself, okay, my standards are higher than my feelings. My standards are higher than my motivation. I need to get up and go do this. And then that's what drives me to move forward. So, are you the Michelangelo? Are you the Shakespeare of what you do? Are you the best teacher? Are you the best doctor? Are you the best whatever? Insert whatever you do. Does someone miss you when you're gone? And you think about the best. Okay, again, we're talking about ourselves. Okay, we want to become our best selves and raise the standard in our lives. But you think about it too, if you're the best, are you the best for the world, or are you the best in the world? If you think about it, there's a difference. If you're the best in the world, you might be the best ever, the GOAT, greatest of all time. You have the most accolades. You have the best statistics. You win the most awards. You're the best in the world. But does that mean you're the best for the world? If you're a teacher and you are helping students to read and have high literacy rates, math rates, then maybe you're the best for the world because you're the best for those students. If you have compassion and you're caring in your job, maybe someone can do your job better than you, or maybe someone knows, let's say, math more than you. You're a math teacher. Maybe someone knows sociology more than you. Maybe someone could have better productivity, be faster, more efficient in their job than you. But are you the best for the world, the people around you? Are you helping them? Are you impacting their lives in a positive way? Are they the ones that then would miss you if you didn't show up? You know, it's kind of interesting because it comes down to the daily habits of what we do, really. You know, the daily habits will dictate kind of what we do and how successful we are. You know, a lot of people might hype it up a little bit. I did all this. Yay for you. Most people will say, you know, oh, I've accomplished all these things. Or maybe they say, well, I really haven't done much. And now the person that has all the accolades, I've done all this. I've done all this stuff. Yeah, look for me. Okay, comparison, right? But what have they done with all those accolades? Whereas the person that's like, well, I've really done a whole lot. Well, have you done more than you think? And again, I go back to this. I saw it again today. I was looking for something on social media, and I came across this video of an infant. There's an infant and a mom, and they're sitting on the couch, and the mom's holding the baby, or actually, I guess, looking at the baby at this point in the video. And it says, The mom says, I didn't do the dishes. There's a, something to the effect that there is a sink full of dishes, a laundry basket full of laundry that needs to be done. The house is a mess. The bathroom's a mess. The bed isn't made. And going through this laundry list of all this stuff she didn't accomplish. The kid, the infant, on the other hand, says it was the best day ever. My mom held me. We got to take a nap together. We laughed together. We fed, whatever. Best day ever. Point of view, right? Perspective. But it's the daily habits. It's knowing that perhaps in that moment, in that time, the best thing for you is to be the mom. Dishes can be done later. Hopefully, maybe someone comes home and help you. But dishes can be done later. Laundry can be done later. Because for that moment, the best for the world was to be there with that child, that infant. Maybe the best in the world would have got it all done. Oh, you're the best mom ever. You got all this stuff done. But maybe the child was, I don't want to say neglected in a bad way, but maybe didn't give as much attention and effort. But again, it's the small things. It's the perspective. It's the doing what we can. It's the giving 100% of whatever we have in the tank. But it's those little, successes that we talked about, little ones, then bigger and bigger. But the little successes start with small, consistent habits. If you, let's say, just wanted to increase knowledge, okay? You don't have a lot of time, can't take college, I'm working, all this stuff. Well, what if you just read 10 pages a day? I want to get in better shape. I don't have hours to spend at the gym. But what if you went on a 20-minute walk a day, or you worked out for 20 minutes a day? I want to be better at whatever it is I'm doing. Well, maybe just spend a little bit of time practicing your craft. Maybe you learn a new skill. You want to be a better writer? Maybe you write a little bit. Maybe you journal. Maybe you take actions that maybe seem small, but again, small, and you build upon the small, and then all of a sudden things are getting bigger and bigger and bigger, right? It's the consistency that compounds. I don't understand financing very well as far as all the compounded interest and all that. But what I do know is if you get in the right investment and you put some money in and the interest compounds and whatever, your money's going to grow. How it happens, I don't know. But it grows, right? That's the same with success. You put a little bit of success in, you continue doing the work. Because I guess, banks will take your money and loan it to other people, and then you get the interest back and all this other stuff, right? Your money is being put to work for you. Maybe you don't really know how, but in the end, you're getting money back. Same thing with your habits, your daily habits, the things that you're doing, the little things, the consistency. So if you improve yourself, maybe 1%, 2%, whatever, just a little bit every day, the transformation over time becomes extraordinary. Greatness is rarely dramatic. It's the daily discipline. There's a poster somewhere I saw, and it's of a soccer player. Let's just say it was Messier. I don't know who it was, but let's just say it was whatever celebrity you like, whatever great athlete you think that you admire. And the poster basically said, it took me 17 years, 143 days, 5 hours, and 6 minutes to become an overnight sensation. They put in the work to get to where they were. If you improve 1% daily, the transformation over time will increase dramatically. The one person that talks about this the best, he talks about practice and how much effort you put in and how often you do it, is Kobe Bryant. And of course, Kobe Bryant eventually had that Mamba mentality, but he talks about practice. Practice as much as you can, as often as you can.
Okay, so if your job is to try to be the best basketball player you can be, right? To do that, you have to practice, you have to train, right? You want to train as much as you can, as often as you can. So if you get up at 10 in the morning, train at 11, right? 12, say 12, train at 12, train for 2 hours, 12 to 2. You have to let your body recover. So you eat, recover, whatever. You get back out, you train, start training again at 6. Train from 6 to 8, right? And now you go home, you shower, you eat dinner, you go to bed, you wake up, you do it again, right? Those are 2 sessions, right? Now imagine you wake up at 3, you train at 4. You go 4 to 6, come home, breakfast, relax, blah, blah, blah. Now you're back at it again. 9 to 11, right? You relax, and now all of a sudden you're back at it again, 2 to 4, and now you're back at it again, 7 to 9. Look how much more training I have done by simply starting at 4, right? And so now you do that, and as the years go on, the separation that you have with your competitors and your peers just grows larger and larger and larger and larger and larger. And by year 5 or 6, doesn't matter what kind of work they do in the summer, they're never going to catch up because they're 5 years behind. Right? So it makes sense to get up and start your day early because you can get more work in.
Now, for somebody like Kobe Bryant, it's, I guess, easier to do, perhaps you could say that, because his whole thing is about playing basketball, right? Now, for some of us, we might not be able to get up at 4 a.m. and practice for a couple hours and then practice for a couple hours every 3 or 4 hours a day, 5 times a day or whatever it is. But the mentality, the mindset is there, improving yourself, getting better. And again, we're not comparing ourselves to Kobe Bryant. Our situation is way different than his situation. We don't have maybe the hours upon hours to spend on our craft. Because remember, just a little bit sometimes, we just talked about it, 1% a day, 2% a day. And that's basically what he's saying, but on a broader scale, because he was saying you're the best basketball player. So that's what he did to become the best basketball player. But what can we do to gain that 1%, to be that much better today than we were yesterday? Because again, when we're talking about our better self, first of all, we have to ask, what's our standard? What's the standard for ourselves to be better? Because we have greatness in us. Can we bring that greatness out? If we bring that greatness out and we raise the standard, then things are going to get better in our life, and not only for our lives, but people around us are going to look at it and be like, well, this person can do that. I can do it. This person can do that. I can do it. And the next thing you know, you're raising the standard in the lives of other people. And it starts with the daily 1%. So what are some of the habits, I guess you could say, that maybe some high level people do? And just real quick before we get into them, one of the things I heard one time, which was kind of interesting, is that, we all look forward to the weekend, right? Loverboy, the song, working for the weekend. We take Friday, Saturday, Sunday off. Can't wait to get back to Friday night, Saturday, Sunday. Oh, it's Monday. But successful people, they don't have a weekend off. Their every day is the same. They're out there putting in the work every single day. I'm not saying you have to do that, but I heard that and I thought it was interesting. Their Saturday is their Monday. Their Sunday is like Monday. Their Tuesday, Wednesday, it's all the same. They're out there working. Now, sure, they might take their vacation time and downtime and all that. But again, their mentality is every day I'm producing. Every day I'm getting better. Every day I'm going to have or try to achieve that high standard, that success that I want in my life. So here are some 7 habits, I guess we can say, of people, high level people, maybe people that are consistently showing up, people that have success. And this is what they do in life. The first thing they do is they obviously set high personal standards. They dream so big, and maybe you should dream so big that it scares you. How will I ever do that? I don't know. Dream so big that scares you. But they expect more from themselves than others expect from them. Now, that's one thing I've always said to anybody that's asked. My standards are always higher than anybody's demand on me, whether it's the job or whatever. I'm always trying to do more and be better than the expectation. And that's just the high standard I set for myself. So people will expect more from themselves than others expect from them. They will take pride in what they're doing, make sure things are going well, take pride in their work. And they'll do all that even when nobody's watching. And that's really the true test of character. The true test of character is, what are you doing when nobody is watching? Are you goofing around, shenanigans, sloughing off? Or are you doing the best job possible? So, high-level people, they set high personal standards for themselves. And then what they do is they take ownership. They avoid excuses. Instead of the blaming circumstances, they ask, what can I do to improve this situation? But because you see, ownership, when you have ownership in something, you're going to want to be more involved. So ownership is power. People are vested in it. And so take ownership, have high personal standards, and then take ownership. How can I improve the situation? Things went bad. Okay, things went bad. Well, how can we improve the situation? I don't know too many people, there's probably a few that try to tank it. But when something goes wrong in business, and this was always something in the radio world, something wouldn't go as planned, and then the general manager or the boss comes in, starts, yelling and screaming. It's like, dude, we didn't set out to sabotage the station. We didn't set out to make this a bad thing. We had perfectly good intentions to try to raise the standard. Sometimes it doesn't work. Sometimes it does. So we didn't set out to make this a bad show, a bad bit, whatever. And maybe that's the same in life for you. You don't set out to make it bad, but it just turns out that way. What can you do to improve the situation? Take ownership. High-level people, they master their habits. Your daily habits will shape your future. Daily habits in health, your daily habits in learning, in productivity, in discipline, because habits determine trajectory. You have to have positive habits. It could be good or bad. The bad habits will take away from your productivity, right? I remember thinking back when I guess smoking was a number of years ago, probably a couple decades ago, really, when I first got into radio, some people still smoked because smoking, well, maybe they liked it, but I remember smoking gave you a deeper voice. So people would want to smoke. Odd, right? But people go take a smoke break. I never smoked. And so I started thinking about, well, I'm going to go hang out on their smoke break too. So I would go hang out. And it was fine. It's not right or wrong. It's just decision. And then I realized that 10, 15 minutes, whatever it was taken away from my productivity. It was disrupting my creative flow. It was causing a break in what I wanted to achieve. So then I stopped going. And they're like, why don't you want to go with us anymore? Well, you don't understand. So I would make these habits of not going on the break then so that I can stay and continue to get my work done and stay in that creative flow. And so that's just what I chose to do. But I tried to master my daily habits by staying focused on the things that I wanted to do. And you might have other things that you want to do. You might have your own habits that you create, and you should. There's a speech, it's a pretty excellent speech by an admiral, and he talks about at a graduation about making your bed in the morning and how significant that could be. Because if you don't do anything else the rest of the day and you come home, at least your bed is made. You've accomplished one thing. I don't make my bed. I don't have the time, nor do I care, because I'm going to get back into it at night. So I don't make it. But again, for others, that might be a habit that they want to make. I have other daily habits that I try to achieve. So we have set a high personal standard, take ownership, master their habits. They invest in their mind. This is something that is, I think, really key to success, a key to being a better you. Is invest in your mind. Successful people will feed their mind intentionally. They'll read books. Remember earlier we talked about reading maybe 10 pages a day. They're reading a book. They're trying to come up with ideas. They're learning something, learning about something, researching something. Maybe they find conversations that challenge them. Because after all, what they say, a mind is a terrible thing to waste. Yeah. Your mind is your greatest asset. You should protect it. You find yourself scrolling endlessly on TikTok, you're exposing your mind to just garbage in, garbage out. Instead of scrolling endlessly at all the stupidity on there, the nonsense, take 5 minutes, find a website, encyclopedia.com, whatever, and maybe learn something. There's a lot of times I'll go through and I'll just look up something. Like the other day, something popped up. I don't even know what a good example is, but it was an actor that I saw, a name, and or like Robert Duvall, for example. Let's say Robert Duvall. I think I saw something, and so I just kind of looked up what he had done. So I remembered Robert Duvall was in Gone in 60 Seconds, and I was like, and I think he passed away. So it's like, oh, what was his last movie? So just looking something, okay? At least that's a little bit better. That's 1% better than scrolling aimlessly on TikTok? Absolutely. Maybe it's knowledge for conversation later. Maybe it's knowledge on a podcast, whatever. But you're just doing something. You're investing in your mind. You're giving yourself knowledge. Knowledge is power. Schoolhouse Rock. Knowledge is power. Just invest in your mind. Learn something. Maybe you don't want to learn a language. Maybe you don't have time for a language, but maybe you learn a couple words. You never know when they might come in handy. Maybe you are all afraid of math. Maybe you learn something a little bit more about math. Maybe you just read up on an idea. Maybe you do a little bit of research on something that's of interest to you. Maybe a music group. How'd they get started? Maybe a song. What was the reason behind the song being created? Just give yourself knowledge, everyday knowledge. When I first got in the radio business, every single piece of advice that I got from somebody, it always included read everything. Read everything. Knowledge is power. You need to know about everything. Obviously, that was before the internet age. Now we've got the internet, and now we've got AI. But there's always something to learn. Grow your mind. Have a growth mindset. So we're setting high personal standards. We're taking ownership of the things we do. We're mastering our habits. We're investing in our mind. And we do hard things. We get outside the comfort zone. I've always mentioned before that I would tell students that there's a whiteboard in the classroom, right? The old chalkboard, but it's a whiteboard now. And if I drew a box on the whiteboard, so now we're sitting in this box. And that's where the world wants us to live, inside this box. But there's this great big world outside the box. There's the whiteboard outside the box. What are you going to do with the rest of the whiteboard when you fill up the box? Think outside the box. We're taught at a young age, color within the lines, right? Color within the lines. Why? I get it. But again, why? There's a whole page outside the lines that we could use to color our masterpiece, abstract thinking. But again, do the hard things. Get outside your comfort zone, because growth comes from things outside your comfort zone. I used to put myself in situations that were always difficult. Maybe not difficult, but uncomfortable. Maybe uncomfortable is the better word. Because when you're uncomfortable and you get used to being uncomfortable, then it becomes comfortable and it's no longer uncomfortable. Does that make sense? So grow. Put yourself in a situation, whether it's talking to somebody new, going to a different place for a restaurant, maybe going out to eat alone, whatever, you figure it out. But do something that puts you outside your comfort zone. Speak publicly. Public speaking is one of the biggest phobias in the world. I knew I wanted to get into public speaking at some point, so I started doing that at a young age. I would run for every office I could in school, politics, class, whatever. And originally, I wanted to win the position, but then afterwards it was like, I just want to get in front of the student body and speak, get over that fear of speaking in public. And now I have no problem with it. Try something new, doing the hard thing. Try something new, take a risk, learn a difficult skill. If we're comfortable, hey, that feels good for today, but our growth will build tomorrow. 1%, grow 1% a day, 2%, 3%, whatever it is, just grow a little bit each day. So we're setting high standards. We're taking ownership. We're mastering our habits. We're investing in our mind. We're doing the hard things so that we can grow. And then we choose our environment. Wow, choosing our environment. What could that be like? Well, environment influences behavior. What's the saying? Bad apple spoils the whole lot. Misery loves company. Like the poet needs the pain, right? So our environment influences us. So create an environment of people that make you successful, people that challenge you, people that encourage you, people that inspire you. That type of energy, well, all energy spreads, but if you have that people around you and they're encouraging you, they're challenging you, they're inspiring you, that energy is going to be positive energy. That's going to create growth. That's going to try to get you to improve that 1%. That's going to raise the standard in your life. And now that leads to a better you. So choose wisely the people in your group. Are they helping you grow? Or are they tearing you down? Are they giving you positivity or is it negativity? Get rid of the negativity. Might be a hard decision to make. They might not understand, but for your sake, maybe it's necessary. So choose wisely your environment, whether it's your work environment, your social life, whatever it is. I always tell young people, be careful what you do, especially on the weekends. I mean, I think about, and it's unfortunate, but the first weekend of school every spring on the college campus, you just have fraternity and sorority parties like crazy. And I know there's always at least one person, their lives changed forever on that first night in college because their environment was influenced by people that thought this was the cool thing to do. It happens on college campuses, happens places all the time. But for me, being in an education environment a lot, being on college campuses a lot, that's the first thing that comes to mind is these people right out of high school, right into college, and that first weekend or so, boom, life-altering decisions. Because the environment, we got to choose wisely. We got to make wise decisions. And then finally, we got to focus on contribution. High-level people eventually realize something important. Life becomes meaningful. We want to help others too along the way, perhaps. Maybe we get into mentoring, want to mentor other people. We just want to encourage other people, build people up, because that creates purpose in our life as well. We're becoming a better self, but in becoming a better self, maybe we want purpose too. And so we bring other people along in mentoring, encouraging, building them up, etc. And then ultimately, there's potential. Everybody listening right now has potential. You do. But it means nothing if it's unused. Your potential means nothing if it's unused. A seed has the potential to become a tree, right? But you've got to plant it. It's got to grow. Maybe it has to survive some storms. You've got potential. The seed is planted in you. Are you going to let it grow? Are you going to overcome those obstacles, those hurdles, those storms in your life? Well, you can do that. How? You do that with effort. You can do that with discipline. You can do that with practice. You can do that with persistence. And as you incorporate those things, effort, discipline, practice, persistence, that seed inside of you will grow, become stronger, deeper roots. So the deeper the roots, the more the chance that the tree survives the storm, the stronger it becomes. And that's you. The greatest tragedy is unused potential. It's not failure. A lot of people think the greatest tragedy in life is failure. It's not. It's unused potential. People who never discover how capable they truly were. They want to live the status quo. They want to maintain no risks. They want to live in the comfort zone. They don't want to take the highway to the danger zone. The greatest tragedy is unused potential. Are you going to use your potential, or are you going to let it waste away? What are you going to do to become a better you? And again, when we're talking about being a better you, a better me, we're not talking about being perfect. We're not talking about winning every competition. We're just talking about being the best version of you. And we do that by growing. 1%, 1%, 1%. We have high standards. We strive to reach those high standards. We do what we can when we can. We try to be the best of who we are. Maybe we do some of these daily habits. And we do some of these things that these successful people do. But again, what we don't do is let potential be wasted. We have our little habits. That 1% gets us to the next day. Now that 1% and the 1% on Monday, the 1% on Tuesday, hey, this week we've just gone up 2%. The next day, Wednesday, we went up 1%. We've gone up 3% since Sunday or since the Friday before. So what standards are you living by? Are you going to compete with yourself from yesterday and try to get that 1%? Do a little bit to improve? And if so, you might find yourself gaining success. And if you look at it maybe as a marathon, the longer you do it, the more success is going to happen. If it's a sprint, you could still have success. But again, the success might be little, which is great. If you go from Monday to Friday for 1 week and that's it, yeah, you might have a little growth, a little success. Hey, that's great, right? But what if you did that every day for a year? 1%, 1%. Well, that's what, 365% improvement? Maybe you have a couple setback days. Okay, fine, we'll go with that. Maybe take a couple days off. Hey, fine, we'll go with that. Maybe you have 0 in the tank. That's fine, we'll go with that. At the end of the year, we still grew 150%. We still grew 100%. We still did whatever we could to improve and become more successful. We give up the Netflix and chill, and we do something else. We give up the scrolling endlessly through TikTok, and we do something else. We invest in our mind, and then that investment pays off in the long run. This is Two Steps Ahead podcast, encouraging you to take your passion, make it happen, let yourself be great. Hey, check out our website. It's radiowarp.com. That's radio, W-A-R-P, radiowarp.com. You can click on the Two Steps Ahead podcast logo, and all of our past shows pop up. There's also a couple other shows on there that you can click on the show logos there, and other shows pop up, including a music show called The Beat Goes On. We also have a faith-based Sanctified Reason podcast. So there's a few things on there that you might like as well beyond Two Steps Ahead podcast. We're on social media everywhere, from TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, all the haunts. You can email the show at twostepsaheadpodcast@gmail.com. That's TWO, twostepsaheadpodcast@gmail.com. You can also reach out on social media and do the direct messaging, or reach out through the social media messenger sections of those apps. You can listen anywhere you listen to podcasts: Apple Podcasts, iHeartMedia, Spotify, Pandora, Deezer. I mean, literally just do an internet search of TWO, Two Steps Ahead podcast, and we pop up. Hey Siri, hey Alexa, hey Google, play Two Steps Ahead podcast, and we pop up TWO. And we're pretty easy to find. And so reach out. And again, I always put this out there. If there's something going on and you think you're the only person, there's no one else, I'm all alone, nowhere to turn to, reach out. If I can't help you, I'll find somebody that can. You don't have to do it alone. You may not know me. I might be a complete stranger. Hey, that's okay too, because sometimes it's easier to talk to a stranger than it is to your best friend, especially about things we're going through. Everything's confidential. I'm not going to share it and use it on the podcast. It's confidential. But reach out, whether it's through the social media messaging, direct messages, through our email, TWO, twostepsaheadpodcast@gmail.com, wherever it is. Reach out, and I will do the best I can to help you the best that we can. And that way we can become better versions of ourselves, right? So again, I'd also like to just take this moment to say thank you for listening, for supporting, for being a part of it. If it's that one person that needs to hear this one thing at this one time, that's what I'm looking for. That's the reason why I do it. I do it because I enjoy it. If we reach the masses, hey, that's great too. But really, it comes down to you. If you need to hear that one thing, whatever it might be, at that one time you need to hear it for that one specific reason that gives you a boost or helps you out or whatever it is, that's the ultimate reason why I do it. So again, Two Steps Ahead podcast. Take your passion, make it happen, let yourself be great. I'm Sonn Eidem. Hey, thanks for listening. Do tell a friend. Until next time, God bless.